Hey, what's going on, guys? So with 2023 coming to a close, I wanted to make this fun, quick little video just to take a look back at the original HG Build Fighters series. This year was the 10th anniversary of Build Fighters, so that's one of the reasons why we got the Metaverse series, which is currently ongoing. We're getting some cool new kits coming out from the Metaverse series now. But going all the way back to 2013 and 2014, when we had the releases of the original Build Fighters kits, it was very interesting. There was a lot of really mixed opinions at the time, although I think in the most positive way, it brought a lot of people either into Gunpla or back to Gunpla just through the popularity of the series. And the kits were popular enough to spawn, a number of series that brought us to where we are now, going through Build Fighters Try, Build Divers, etc. So while in the later series, we saw a lot more kits. In the first series, there was actually only 17 HG releases, which is not so bad. It's not so little, but it's not that much. In Build Fighters Try, which we'll take a look at in an upcoming video, I'll take a look back to the Build Fighters Try releases. There was 40 entries, so to go from 17 releases in the first series to 40 in the next series, it obviously did pretty well. It was very popular, and so there was a lot of really great kits that came out. And well, I think the most prevalent criticism that you would see regarding the Build Fighters kits originally, and it did kind of continue into the later series as well, but especially with the first series, people didn't really like the fact that Bandai was reusing some older molds, in some cases some much older molds for these new kits, where we weren't really getting the same quality and model kit engineering as some of like the brand new HG kits that were coming out at the time or around that time as well. So some of them didn't feel quite as nice as other series HG kits. But like I said, on the other hand, I think for a lot of people, they really enjoyed kind of the new twist on some of their classic favorite designs. For example, the Build Strike. A lot of people love the Strike Gundam, so a lot of people really enjoyed kind of a new fresh take on the Strike Gundam, where it was still a familiar design but had some really cool new features and aspects to it as well. So today in this video, I just want to look at 5 of my favorites from the series. You guys can let me know in the comment section which were some of your favorites from the original Build Fighters series. Like I said, there was only 17 to choose from, so choosing a top 5 wasn't too bad. But the first one I'll talk about is the HDxia Dark Matter. Now, there was also the Amazing Exia. I think the Dark Matter is a little bit more interesting just because it's such an unusual color scheme. At the time, I thought it's a little bit too edgy for my taste. I didn't really quite like it. But it's definitely grown on me quite a bit, and I do really appreciate how different it is as a version of the Exia, to be not only so different in terms of just its color scheme, of this very unique color scheme of like black and dark red. Like I said, it's very dark, very edgy kind of color scheme, but it's also reflected in the design as well, having all these like pointed features in the toes, the knees, the shoulders, the V-fin, the parts on the chest, having all these pointy bits, really going hard on the evil look of it. But I think it does make for a really interesting design. It's also a really fantastic master grade too, if you guys can get your hands on that. It does share the same issue in the Exia's feet as the original Exia and all the other versions the master grade Exia have. It's a small issue, but overall it's still a really fun and fantastic kit, I would say. So next one is the Crossbone Gundam Mao. Now, both the X-Mao and the Crossbone Gundam Mao are both really interesting. I think the Crossbone is a little bit more interesting just because it actually combines aspects of the X Gundam and also the Crossbone Gundam and kind of into one thing. So it's got a lot of kind of combined features, and it makes for a really interesting kit in that way. Sort of combining the satellite cannon of the X Gundam into the backpack, the Crossbone backpack of the Crossbone Gundam, and then with that big opening skull in the front of the chest is a very memorable design, a very interesting and unique design just for that reason alone. And then it also has like the bone beam cannons. So again, I think one thing that you're going to hear me talking about a lot in this video and then the next video too, talking about the Build Fighters Try releases, is one thing that I think you guys will probably agree is one of the best parts about the Build Fighters and Build Fighters Try series is the uniqueness of some of the designs, and that's definitely the case with this one here as well. And also the HG Crossbone Gundam, which this was based off of, is a more recent release, so it's not one that's based on a much older HG, so it's a little bit nicer in that sense as well. Next one we're going to be talking about is the Camphor Amazing. This is another one that I wasn't originally that excited about just because it wasn't really to my taste at the time, although it's definitely a design that's grown on me quite a bit as well. This one I think did a really interesting job of staying very close to the original Camphor design, but changing a lot of things at the same time. So you have new parts for the arms, the legs, the shoulders, which are all in the same color scheme, so it still looks very familiar, but slightly different in their shape. And then of course the change from all like the physical weaponry of the bazooka, the shotgun, the chain mines to all of this beam weaponry now that it has is a very interesting change. And another great thing that it did was carry over from the original version of the Camphor to this one, the fact that it just has a lot of weapon options. So if you like a kit that does have a lot of weapon options, that you can actually mount them. I think almost all of these you can actually have them mounted onto the kit. Maybe not all at once, but you can mount a bunch of weapons onto the kit at once. So if that's what you like, just in kits in general, if that's what you like about the Camphor, you can absolutely do that with the Camphor Amazing here as well. So it's definitely one that is very appealing if you like a kit that has a ton of weaponry. Next up then is the Missazabi. This is one that I think, if I am allowed one pun for this video, I think a lot of people missed on, just because right out of the box, I mean, it's not a very appealing color scheme and the proportions are a bit odd, but I think looking back on it, it did really make very interesting use of a lot of the parts, using like the front skirt parts of the Sazabi for the shield, using the shoulder parts for the backpacks, so it moved the parts around in a very interesting way. I'm not that big on the color scheme, but it's one that it's a design that in different colors I think can look a lot better. I also think that the V-fin on the Sazabi looks a bit odd, but otherwise, I mean, just a very interesting, very different take on the Sazabi's design by moving some parts around, giving it these very thin, much more kind of like ladylike legs compared to the legs that it normally has. And while it's a kind of small thing, I do really like the combined beam axe that it has, like combining two different beam effect parts onto basically one single weapon makes for a pretty awesome and pretty cool weapon that it has too. And this is actually one that I didn't pick up and build at the time, and I know that it's not been reprinted for quite a long time, so I think probably a lot of you guys might be in the same boat as me, as hoping that this might hopefully get reprinted sometime in the near future so that I can actually pick it up and check it out for myself as well. But I do really like the design and I am hoping to build it. But if you guys have built it, certainly let me know your thoughts. Now, the last one here I think is probably my personal favorite out of the entire original Build Fighters series. Here is the Gundam Ficio Rinashita. The original Ficio was interesting for its asymmetry, although I just prefer the design of the Rinashita here. It gets rid of the asymmetry with a lot of the design, but I think it's a much more kind of complete looking design, which I think is sort of the point of it, right? But this is one that, if I remember correctly, is like almost entirely a new kit, so it doesn't really rely on much older releases for one. A really, really interesting design. If you're a fan of the Wing Gundam, you know, this is very familiar in terms of like its silhouette, but it's still very different. Again, like a much more kind of edgy design, but not in the way of like the HDxia Dark Matter edgy, but just more kind of pointy design than the original like TV version Wing Gundam, for example, which is what it's based off of. I feel like if the Wing Gundam were to be designed like now in like the 2010s, around when this came out, rather than in the 90s, it might look something a little bit more like this. The color scheme is something, you know, that may not be for everyone, being a very green color scheme, again, is a kind of unique color scheme that we don't really see too often. So I kind of like that. It's a bit unique, and also makes it a little bit more different, strays away further from the more traditional Gundam color scheme, the tricolor scheme that we see on the original Wing Gundam. So again, it kind of sets it apart from the kit that it's based off of. But of course, there are a lot of really familiar aspects to it. I mean, I love the shield on it. I love the beam rifle. It's a much more kind of big, chunky beam rifle design compared to the original Wing Gundams. I do really like the extended like wings on the ears for the head and everything. So it's a really, really cool design. And again, a really nice master grade kit as well. Unfortunately, we didn't really get as many master grades out of this series as I think a lot of us would have liked, but the ones that we did get were pretty nice. The HDxia Dark Matter, the Ficio Rinashita, certainly amongst some really nice master grades there from the series. So that's my pick of 5 of my favorites from the original Build Fighters line. Let me know some of your guys' favorites in the comment section below. What kits, I mean, a lot of these have not been reprinted lately. Bandai is reprinting some of the Build Fighters and Build Fighters Try kits recently, which is nice. So which ones would you like to see get reprinted that maybe you're having a hard time finding and haven't been able to find for a long time? Let me know in the comment section. And if you guys do want to check out some kits for yourself, of course, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. Got a bunch of Gunpla there, both HG, Build Fighters, and otherwise all sorts of Gunpla, so check that out. And like I said, in an upcoming video, I'll be taking a look at some of my favorites from the Build Fighters Try series as well. And also, of course, I'll be doing a best of 2023 video where I'll talk about some of my favorites, just Gunpla in general from 2023, where I will be doing that video. So I'm sure people are going to ask in the comments, so just kind of getting ahead of that. letting you guys know I will make a best. I don't know if it's going to be a best and worst, or maybe just a best of 2023. We'll see, but I will be making that video. For now, just to wrap up 2023, I thought it would be fun to take a look back at the original Build Fighters series 10 years ago now. But there were some cool kits. Definitely a lot more and a lot better kits in the Build Fighters Try series, but there was definitely some nice ones to enjoy from the original series as well. So, interested to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for sharing your comments, also liking the video and subscribing. Really appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you so much. Till next time, have a good one. Bye guys, and Happy New Year.